Also, when the candidates are going to come on stage to speak, and we ask that you come in on my left, just because we don't want you tripping over equipment, so come up on this side. We don't want anyone to fall. I want to welcome you and invite you next year. The Moultrie News will turn 50. So that's a huge celebration. We're going to have 3 parties planned for you next year. We're going to have one at All Green. They'll, of course, include music, and it's going to be a fun family tailgating event. Then in June, we'll have one at Boone Hall that will include Plain Jane and the East Coast Party Band, so we hope you come out and party with us. And then we're going to have a family day on the islands. The Isle of Tom and Sullivan's Islands going to work together with us, and we're going to have a family day out there. So keep that in mind next year, and we'll hope that you'll come out and celebrate with us. I want to thank the Moultrie News team for helping me. Will you please stand in the audience, and I want to thank them for all their help putting this together. It's my pleasure to introduce the moderator for this evening's forum, Julie Hussey, President of the League of Women Voters of the Charleston area. Thank you.
Put my chair over here, so when they're speaking, I keep them from going off the other way. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and Moultrie News, it really is wonderful that you're here and caring about the future of our community, Mount Pleasant. The League of Women Voters is a grassroots, nonpartisan organization, and I want to clarify what that means. Is nonpartisan means that we do not support particular candidates, nor do we support particular party platforms. We're made up of women and men from all political backgrounds. We would like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank our nonpartisan co-sponsor, the Moultrie News. So it sounds like they're going to be having a great party next year. Several parties. It's the sincere hope of the forum's co-sponsors that this evening will provide useful information on candidates' positions on critical issues of concerns to citizens. We would also like to recognize and thank Moultrie Middle School in this wonderful building for providing tonight's meeting space. As reminders, unauthorized taping is not permitted, and any recording of the forum must always be shown in its entirety. And luckily, since it's going to be taped, we'll kind of have that. Do you have a question?
Is there any way we can turn up the sound in the room for us?
Let's see. Maybe I should speak more clearly. Is that helping?
Yeah.
All right, candidates, take that as a warning. You need to speak into the microphone. And but one of the things we do want to make sure, and we'll have the main forum, but is if you're posting parts of this, we want to make sure that you're not flipping and pasting to not post the whole thing. So we're also asking you silence your cell phones if you've not already done so. The town of Mount Pleasant will hold a general election on Tuesday, November 5th, 2013 for mayor and 4 seats for town council with 4-year terms to expire in November of 2017 and 2 seats for Mount Pleasant Waterworks Commission with 6-year terms to expire in November of 2019. This is a nonpartisan at-large municipal election, and no party affiliation will be placed on the ballot. A candidate must win by a majority of votes or face a runoff. Plurality elections have been what determined winners in the past, and this is going to be a new thing that you have to have for plurality, in the majority of votes. In the case of mayor, it would be a 2-person runoff. In the case of town council, it would be the number of top vote getters plus 1 for the number of offered seats. If a council candidate receives a majority in the first election, he wins, and the runoff is between the next top 3 plus 1. Any necessary runoffs will be held on November 19, 2013. Tonight's process will begin with the candidates for mayor, followed by the candidates for town council, followed by the candidates for Waterworks Commission. Every candidate in the group is seated in alphabetical order in front of you, this way. We'll have 4 minutes to address the audience. Questions from the general public that were solicited by the Moultrie News have been shared with the candidates, so they may each incorporate responses as individually preferred time allows. And I just do want to let you all know that the Moultrie News sat with us and really gave a lot of thought to how this candidate forum would work. We've done them in the past where we have people ask questions from the audience and handle that. And each candidate has a chance to respond, which is wonderful to hear their different responses, but also can tend to go on longer. And we wanted to make sure that we had all 3 of the elections and offices that were being considered. So we included Waterworks, Town Council, and Mayor all in one night. So we've come up with this forum to have 4 minutes for each candidate to speak. They have been sent questions that were gathered through the Moultrie News. So we're hoping that they're not just, we want to hear how wonderful they are and how much they love Mount Pleasant and how much they know all of us, but we also hoping that they will spend some time talking about some of the issues that we have asked them about. So I put that out there to y'all candidates. Our timekeeper, Joan, will signal candidates about their remaining time and when time is up. And I hear that y'all had a tough timekeeper recently, so you know where we come from. But it really is important to keep the format going so that everyone has a chance. And I think it also, it's a really nice courtesy for everyone. So we will be as polite as we can, but we will keep things moving. We ask that you please hold your applause until all the candidates for a particular office have spoken. And that can be really hard. So just sit on your hands, give big smiles, but it really does help keep things going. And this isn't a pep rally for certain candidates, it's really an information rally for all of us. And so now it's my pleasure to introduce the candidates for mayor of Mount Pleasant in alphabetical order. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order and introduce them. We have Mr. Joe Bustos. We are missing Mr. Carl Carroll Jr. We have Mr. George Friedman. We have Town Council Representative Ken Glasson. Let's pronounce it.
That's correct. You can say it twice.
Okay, good. And Town Council Representative Lyndon Page. And we are going to give each of them 4 minutes, and we're going to start in reverse order to shake things up a little bit with Ms. Page.
Oh, well, this will be very nice.
Gotta have these readers. I apologize, it's that age. Thanks to the Moultrie News and the League of Women Voters, and for all of you for coming out tonight. It's difficult listening to candidate after candidate and question after question, and I did put some information together about myself, and I did prepare a written speech. So my name is Linda Page. I'm a candidate for your mayor. My family has been here since 1959 when they started Page's Beef Market. I still run that business today. My brothers and their families have had much success here in the town of Mount Pleasant with the Hungry Neck Antique Mall, which is now Trader Joe's, and Page's Open Grill, which I think a few of you have tried for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I'm a current town council member. I have been since 2009. I'm also the vice chairman of CARTA. This is what I will tell you about CARTA. As vice chairman, I was put there as a board member. Billy Swells had the foresight to put me there, and our service is much improved. When I got here on Highway 17, we had 1 hour headway. It did not go to Wando High School. We now run 2 buses on the 40. Those buses go all the way to Wando High School. It's a great improvement for the people who ride on that corridor. We also have express buses that ride to MUSC, and they're very full. We instigated a route that was a connector route, the 401. It was not very successful. We modified it. We fought hard. We had strap hangers join us. We created the Route 41, which is Coleman Boulevard. You will see our bus rotating. We are almost meeting standards. It's awesome. That's what I've done with CARTA. Now, Benjamin Barber said this: cities are where we are born, grow up, are educated, work, marry, pray, play, get old, and in time die. They are home. Mount Pleasant is my home. Please don't allow the voice of our community to be focused just about who we are, but instead support someone who understands what we want to be. On November 5th, you all will have a chance to decide the future of our community, and local politicians rule your destiny. I ask you to choose wisely. Don't choose with your heart, but choose with a desire to live in a great community, our hometown. I'm a hard worker, I'm a problem solver, I'm a person who will listen to your concern. The job of leading a community is not just about picking up trash and keeping ditches clean. It's about reaching out to citizens and understanding what a vision of a community is. I have a vision, you have a vision. Together we can be a unified vision of the future. We need to reach across lines that are drawn by the county, our neighboring communities, and the region to understand how their decisions are affecting us and how our decisions are affecting them. Your mayor should be here and from here. They need to be trustworthy. I live here, I will serve here. Everything that you are affected by, I am also affected by, and it is clear to me. I can't solve your problems if I'm elected, but I can continue to be your neighbor. I will be open and available to all. I go to work every day knowing I have a lot to do. And I know that the choices that the politicians are making on every level affect me. I refuse to sit. I've decided to stand as a candidate for mayor. I would ask you to vote for me on November 5th as your mayor. If you want more information about the campaign or issues, my cell phone is on my business card. Please visit my website, and please feel free to speak to me at any time. Thank you very much. Linda Page.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Next, we have Mr. Blesson.
I also want to extend my thank you to the Moultrie News and the League of Women Voters for this event tonight. So many people out in the town. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Basson. I'm a candidate for mayor. All of us here tonight to make a critical decision on the future of not only our town, but the greater Charleston community, and how important it is to our regional economy. As mayor of Mount Pleasant, it will be my role to continue to grow our economy. And we have to make that decision as to whether we're going to grow that economy in a business-friendly, jobs-friendly, while protecting our economy, or whether we will allow the lack of leadership and have us fall behind. As leaders, we serve honorably. I've served honorably in the Marine Corps for 3 decades. As a retired decorated Marine Corps officer, senior council member, job-creating CEO, and businessman, and a senior council member, I not only have the leadership roles, experience, and background, but also promote an economic, intelligent growth to our community. I'm ready to lead the town and ready to be your mayor. Unlike my opponents, there is no time or a necessity for on-the-job training. As a senior ranking member of council, I know the current issues, I've studied them, I've been part of them in developing them, and also know the working knowledge of their history and why we've come to the decisions that we have now. As a small business owner of 2 companies that I personally founded, I understand the support of not only building new businesses, but also supporting existing ones. My goal for mayor is simple: to provide necessary leadership when required to make Mount Pleasant a town to live, work, and thrive for our families and our children. And I do this in 4 ways. First, by making Mount Pleasant the place to do business. We continue to grow our government, I should stand that corrected. We continue to grow our community, and our government is there to serve. It's not to be subservient, it's to serve the people of Mount Pleasant. Look at streamlining and looking at all of our different leaders that we have within our community and our town and in our staff, and have a streamlined process to take what we have and make it better. Doing this allows well-educated senior staff members the opportunity to achieve new successes within their department and within our town. By working with a diverse, well-educated council filled with attorneys, accountants, bankers, and small business owners, we'll bring the town together and with a plan for business in Mount Pleasant that I have put together. The second is to broaden our tax base and keep our tax the lowest in the region. We've maintained that, which we are currently, but there's challenges out there with infrastructure and with new buildings and construction that we need to maintain our focus on the bottom line. Third is the efficiency on that bottom line. Keeping our taxes low without keeping our bottom line of the numbers of people and how we run our town is vitally important to the future of our town. When you start to look at one of the goals I had when I first came on council 7 years ago was to make us AAA rated. We've now taken, through the good hard work of our staff members, one step closer to that and a 2A++ rating with Moody's. My goal as mayor was to ensure that we get that AAA rating, one of only a few communities in the entire country that have achieved that. And fourth is to keep people in Mount Pleasant with a consistent, conservative leader. This does not mean flip-flopping on issues or any type of political games, and I know everyone has a voting record here, so you can look at who's done that. It's important that you have that consistency. That leadership is what makes us a town and moves us towards the future. I thank you for your time. My name is Ken Glasson, November 5th. I look for your vote. Thank you.
And now we'll have Mr. Friedman.
Good evening.
I can't see you.
My name is George Friedman, and I'm a candidate for mayor. This is the first forum that we've attended that I'm happy to say there's enough people in here to make me feel that the citizens of Mount Pleasant are concerned about who the next leaders in Mount Pleasant will be for the next 4 years. There's been a lot of talk about top issues in the town. Well, our top issue in the town of Mount Pleasant are the individuals that you elect for the next 4 years to lead us in the town of Mount Pleasant. There are a few issues that have been brought up in the questions, and that I will try to answer as part of my campaign. One of the things that I'm looking for in the town of Mount Pleasant is to create a downtown business district. We are in a situation where we depend mainly on tourism and construction of new homes for our tax base. We need to add an additional tax base to our source of revenue. And that is by creating a downtown business district near the town center in Mount Pleasant. This district will be to attract technical businesses, R&D businesses, and general businesses that produce a product. When this development is created, in addition with the seaside development that's being created at the base of the town at Patriots Point, with the additional improvements to Coleman Boulevard, this will create an environment from town center to Patriots Point, where it will create an environment where people will want to ride mass transit. Right now, we don't have an environment where people want to ride mass transit. But if we create this downtown business district, it will create that environment. It will also help with traffic, because people will be able to work and live in Mount Pleasant without having to get on the highway and drive out of the town and be driving back into the town at the end of the evening. Also, we need leaders who understand that we need a balance between land development and our transportation system. That is a very important part of what our leaders should be working on. As your leader, that is one of the things that I will be concentrating a lot of my efforts on. I would like to tell you a little bit about my background now, because I'm the only candidate up here that's an outsider. When I say that, I'm the outsider because I've never served on council. But for 20 years, I have been involved in what goes on in our local government. I have been involved since the early 90s. Many of the council members and mayors that are here or have served know that I have been before them with issues for years. A lot of those issues have not come to fruition, but that is one of the reasons I am running now, because, again, we still have traffic problems in the town, and that was one of the things I stressed for a long time, that we needed to have a grid system when it comes to traffic in the town of Mount Pleasant. I have always said we needed businesses in Mount Pleasant other than retail, and that's why I'm proposing that we create this downtown business district similar to what they have in Greenville, South Carolina. Because I have been working for so many years to serve, even though I have not been on council, I have established a reputation of being persistent and consistent. And that's the type of leadership I believe we need in the town of Mount Pleasant. So, on November 5th, vote for consistent and persistent leadership. Vote George A. Friedman. Thank you.
My name is Joe Bustos, and I am a candidate for the mayor of Mount Pleasant. I would also like to thank the Moultrie News, the League of Women Voters, for hosting this forum. And I'd also like to publicly thank my wife, Kathy. We've been married 42 years, for following me on the political trail and on the Army for over 20 years. So publicly thank you. Now, you came here tonight to see what the difference was between each of the candidates for mayor in Mount Pleasant. So I'm just going to ask, as you leave, we have some flyers over there with my background. And most of you know me. I've been around a long time, 9 years on town council. So I'm not going to belabor that point. I'm going to get right to what I feel is the heart of the matter for Mount Pleasant. First, my first goal is to open government. I think we use executive sessions far too often. I would like to see less executive sessions. Have the town attorney justify each executive session before the vote. Secondly, economic development. Our town absolutely needs economic development. Specifically, by the airport, we need to go out and get some of the suppliers for Boeing to move to Mount Pleasant, but we're going to have the schools and the housing to support that, and the land. So it's going to be vital that the mayor work as hard as they possibly can with Boeing to get those suppliers. A second senior center in the upper reaches of Mount Pleasant. We desperately need that senior center. A lot of our seniors are driving from Park West, Dunes West, to the senior center. They're in traffic, they're a little unsure of themselves, and you know, I have gray hair, so I guess I can say that, but I think it would be tremendous for our community to have another senior center. And I'd like to do that by partnering with Roper St. Francis, so we could get that open. Secondly, our fourth point, Medal of Honor Museum. It is so important that we move the Medal of Honor Museum from the Yorktown into a facility on shore so that the future of the Medal of Honor Museum will not be tied to the ship itself. This is a one-in-the-world type facility because it's the Medal of Honor for the United States. We're very privileged to have that facility here. We need to take care of it. And also, we're the beneficiaries of all the tourism, all the folks that come to Patriots Point to see that. So it's an economic development issue for the town as well. One of the other things that differentiates myself from the other candidates is I don't believe that the town needs a new town hall. I think that TIF money should be spent in the TIF districts from whence it came. That was the agreement, that money would be used to help the infrastructure in those TIF districts. That's where I think it needs to be spent rather than letting it pool and then working on or building a new town hall. I just don't think that's an appropriate use of TIF money. Lastly, one of my opponents has said that they couldn't say no to development. I think rather than that, we need to have a balanced approach to development. We need to make sure that development doesn't outstrip schools and infrastructure. So that's very important. I'm Joe Bustos, and thank you very much.
Y'all did not do a very good job of pulling your balls at the very end. So, just to help you remember this, the next time, I'm going to let everybody have a chance to give a real warm round of applause right now for all our candidates. I think you were very kind in making sure that every candidate got a nice round of applause. I do appreciate that. Now I do want to, we're going to let them get up, the mayoral candidates get up. And now we're going to invite our town council candidates to come forward. The name change out. We're going to run each mayoral, town council, waterworks, and then afterwards everybody will have a chance to ask questions and get to know the candidates. And I will start calling y'all's names so we can get forward. it's my pleasure to introduce the candidates for Mount Pleasant Town Council in alphabetical order by last name. We will start with Mr. Ben Bryson. And he's right here. Thank you. Wait, just a second, Ben. We're going to have to come last. So we're flipping it up. I just want to introduce you. Sorry. Town Council Representative Elton Carrier, Mr. Paul Garge, Mr. Tim Geit, Mr. Anthony Covidu, I've been reading this on, Mr. Gary Santos, Mr. Mark Smith, Mr. Joseph Wren. We will give each candidate 4 minutes. Our timer is right here, so she will be showing you. And then I've got my hook over here, pulling it off. And we are going to start with Mr. Wren.
I just reverse that order thing. Everything else is first for me in a school environment. My name is Joseph Wren. I've been a Mount Pleasant resident for 20 years now.
Can't hear you.
Mr. Speaker.
Testing. My name is Joseph Wren. I've been a Mount Pleasant resident for about 20 years now.
No, too much.
Happily married, 2 beautiful daughters run around here somewhere. My wife Teresa is a public school teacher at Jenny Moore Elementary. I have the pleasure of serving as a deacon at East Cooper Baptist Church here in Mount Pleasant, and been blessed to start a small business here 16 years ago. First office was right down here on Coleman. I say all that to say I'm invested in this community. I'm here, God willing, will be here for another 50 years, and I want to be part of the development of Mount Pleasant and the future of it. Not only for me, but for my children and someday grandchildren. In being a good steward of what we do here, one thing that I think is vital is protect our natural resources. One of the main reasons people love this area is the beautiful vistas, the Shim Creek area, the harbor that we have, beautiful sunsets just a couple blocks away. I had the opportunity to serve 6 years on the Mount Pleasant Land Conservancy, and I'm proud of that work. What we did when we first started, we were basically an arm of the town, and we saw a need that wasn't being filled by any other land organization. So we came out from the town, became a nonprofit, and started holding properties in this town for landowners, for communities that are going to be used for generations to come. That is part of what makes Mount Pleasant great, is these partnerships. One issue that's very personal to me is education. We have great schools in Mount Pleasant, but we have some serious issues. A couple examples. Wando High School, great high school, has 40 trailers on its campus right now. We have, if you have a child at Jenny Moore, first grader, and has to go to the restroom, they are walking outside the school building, exiting, going to a trailer to go to the restroom. To make matters worse, with security now, all exterior doors to schools are closed. So a teacher has to come out of the classroom to allow your student or students back in. In Mount Pleasant, we can do better. Yeah. We have a good friend who's a kindergarten teacher. Right now, she has 24 5-year-olds in a self-contained trailer, kindergarten teacher. Now let that sink in for a second. 7:30 to 2:30, 24 5-year-olds that we expect core curriculum and standards to make. We can do better in Mount Pleasant. If elected, one of my biggest priorities will be to be that conduit to the Charleston County School District to fight for to alleviate these school overcrowding issues. Secondly, education. We've been hearing about the second high school. It's my feeling it's time to stop hearing and start planning for the second high school. We are going to need it someday. We're growing. Wando is a great school, one of the best high schools, if not the best high school in the state. But if you just look at the numbers of the middle school students, it's going to exponentially grow over the next few years. We need to start that planning process now. So, in conclusion, what makes me different? What makes me a viable candidate? Different from these other fine gentlemen. They have served our town well, a lot of these. I'm probably running against over 30 years of previous town experience. And they should be commended for their work. However, I think it's time for a fresh face and new ideas in Mount Pleasant Town Council. I think if you look at the 35 to 45 demographics, with the people rotating off this November, there is not one person in the very top, that top demographic on council. I want to be that candidate. Ask for your support and your vote this November 5th. There's 3 things. 1, small business. I know how to balance a budget and stretch a dollar. I have a passion for natural resources and experience with it. And 3rd, I will fight for Mount Pleasant schools. I thank you for your time and your consideration. Joseph Friedman.
Thank you, Mr. Wren. Mr. Smith?
First of all, I want to thank the Moultrie News and the League of Women Voters for hosting this important event tonight. I'm honored to share the front of the room with all of these fine candidates here tonight. Earlier this week, we were all provided a list of questions. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, very good. I see some folks in the back telling me doing this. Earlier this week, we were all the candidates were provided a list of questions. These questions were submitted from all across Mount Pleasant. Every one of these questions are important questions to our community and to each of you here tonight in your decision-making process and who your candidate is going to be that you're going to elect for the new town council members. Every single one of those questions deserve a very thoughtful and thorough answer. Tonight, I don't intend to pick 1 or 2 of the cherry-picked questions that I could. Instead, I've taken the time to answer 100% every one of those questions and put it in writing, and you're able to pick one of those sheets up at the yellow folder to your left. I've also made those answers available on my website at Vote Mark Smith, also at our Facebook page, and also put them on the MountPleasantPatch.com. These are important questions, and they deserve thoughtful, meaningful answers, and I've committed to do that for you. Tonight, I'd like to leave here with an understanding of 4 things about me, and why I hope you'll honor me with one of your 4 votes and the opportunity to serve you on the Mount Pleasant Town Council. First, I promise to lead on the Town Council, to maintain our amazing quality of life here in Mount Pleasant. While we're a growing community by leaps and bounds, I'm committed to being a leader on Town Council to make sure that we don't destroy the quality of life that we've all come to know and expect while living here in Mount Pleasant, which was one of the many reasons we chose to live here. Traffic, infrastructure, access, interconnectivity, all of those things need to be carefully monitored in every decision-making that council has as we move forward. Second, I'm committed to being a voice for all of Mount Pleasant, not just a select few. I don't owe anyone any favors. I will work for the new mayor and with the new council, but I'll work with them, I won't work for them. And I'm committed to being an independent thinker, an independent voter that's in the best interest of all of us, the residents of Mount Pleasant. Third, I'm a local small business owner, and our company was founded here in Charleston in 1886. We've been serving the Mount Pleasant community since then. We are well-rooted, and I understand the rich heritage and tradition that we want to keep in our town. Those things are important, they matter, and I recognize them. And they should be in every decision-making that goes on in council. My business partner, Archie Willis, and I have had 5 ribbon-cutting ceremonies since I joined him in 1999. All 5 of those new business ventures and ribbon-cutting ceremonies have been delayed and cost more than was budgeted for due to government interference. We need to make sure that Mount Pleasant continues to be a pro-business and pro-family environment, and I want to lead that charge. Finally, I love our town. My wife, Elaine, and I are raising our 3 boys here. Our youngest son's at Cario, 2 at Wando. The school overcrowding issues are not something we read about and hear about. They're near and dear to our hearts. That needs to be resolved, and we need to have good ambassadors who are going to fight for that cause and work with the Charleston County School District, and I'm prepared to do that. Lastly, as my commitment to Mount Pleasant, with my long servant leadership that I've walked out in all the nonprofits that I've been involved in and have led, I promise to give back and donate 100% of the salary that comes along with the town council, because I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I have the time to serve, because I want to give back and keep our community an all-American city, not just one year, but year after year. We have 100% 12 A-rated schools. We have 5,050 small businesses in this community. Let's keep Mount Pleasant a wonderful place to be. Mark Smith, I appreciate your time.
ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be back before you. I think the last time I was here was 2009. My name is Gary Santos. I am the most experienced candidate out here today. I've served on council for 13 years. I've been on either chairman of or on the committee a member of the committee of every committee on council at the time. So I have a lot of experience in the different areas of town council. I was on the Blue Ribbon Committee of Growth in 1999 and came up with the idea of permanent allocation caps so that we can slow the growth so our infrastructure can catch up. And it worked. You see all the beautiful brand new schools we have, all the roads that have been built. It was a great idea, and Robert Dodds and I served on that committee, and it was a very valuable committee. I'm also a member of the new Medal of Honor Bowl. The football bowl game is going to be coming up at Johnson Hagan Stadium in January, on January 11th. We're trying to bring in all-star football players at the college level. I'm vice president of the Charleston Port and Seafarers Society. We take care of those who go down to the sea in ships. You've probably seen our buses going around with the crew members running up to Walmart all the time. They're away from home for up to 6 months at a time, and we make sure we take care of them just like we would hope they take care of our U.S. Seafarers when they're over in those countries. How many of you folks like our new park underneath the bridge? Been there before, it's nice, isn't it? Well, back in 1999, I asked DOT for that land so that we could use it for a brand new park, and DOT agreed. And now we have a beautiful park that everybody can go down and enjoy, including our kids. How many of you like to go to restaurants and be able to eat your food without breathing other people's smoke? I was the one who wrote that, drafted and sponsored that ordinance as well, because I felt like smoking, as everybody knows, is very dangerous for you, and people wanted to go to restaurants and not have to breathe other people's secondhand smoke. I spent 35 years coaching and working with the youth of the town. Frederick Douglass once said, it's easier to raise a good kid than fix a broken man. And that's how I felt all my life. I put a lot of time and effort into working with kids. Before I've had somebody say, well, all you care about is the kids. These kids grow up to be contributing members of society. A lot of the kids that I have coached are now producing have grown up, have children, have great jobs. Some of them are playing college football. Clemson fans, Stanton Seconder played for me. I have Andrew Bunch playing for USC, and I can go on and on. But it's great to work with these kids, to teach them, to mentor them, so they become good contributing members of society. And I've done that for a long time, and I'm still coaching. Some of the issues that I want to look at is transportation infrastructure. When I left council years ago, the former mayor asked me to sit in with Mayor Riley and Wilbur Johnson to debate the issue on the half-cent sales tax to get money for our roads, to widen Johnny Dodds Boulevard. I did that, and we were successful. The citizens agreed, and we raised money, and we built the roads. When I left council, we had a 6-lane highway from the Arthur Ravenel Bridge to Wando. But for some reason, it went to a 5-lane. And that kind of inexperience there is going to hurt us in the future, because now we have a bottleneck at Bowman Road. And we're going to have to fix that sometime in the future. It's going to be up to our kids and grandkids. Coleman Boulevard, I stood here in 2009 and told everybody that the Coleman Boulevard plan was not a good plan for us. It needed to be looked at, it needed to be tweaked. As you see right now, we have traffic on Coleman Boulevard. We have a very large building on Coleman Boulevard. We now have a 55-foot building that was just approved down at Shen Creek. I'm not sure how long that's going to go, because more and more developers, once we've done that 55-foot building, they're going to want the same thing. We need to get a grip on growth on Coleman Boulevard. School overcrowding, permanent allocation plan, previous council suspended the permanent allocation plan, and now we have unbridled growth. They're pulling permits like crazy and they're building. She's telling me I got 10 seconds left. So one important question, I think Mark talked about it, one important question is, I have never taken any money. I have never in any way profited from any developers who are building in Mount Pleasant right now. And I think all of the council members need to talk about that, at least let you know how they feel.
Good evening. I am the Reverend Anthony Kojo Covington. I'm one of the clergy at St. Andrew's Church in Old Village. I am married to the lovely Valerie Sitton from Greenville, and this union is blessed with 2 children, Geneva and Anthony Kojo II. I'm a graduate of the University of the South, the School of Theology, Sewanee, the Episcopal Oxford of the United States. Why am I running? Everybody asks this question. You are a priest. You are a clergyman. Why are you running? Here's why I'm running. Yesterday, I had the privilege to speak to Club 88 member. And in our table discussion, a friend of mine said, you know, I was born in Roper Hospital. And then it dawned on me that I was born in the village in Africa on a dirt floor onto two illiterate parents. Illiterate parents, now on a dirt floor in a palm touch house onto two illiterate parents. I fled the civil war from Liberia to come to this country of honey and milk. And this country has given me so much. From the village on the dirt floor in Africa to Sewanee, the Episcopal Harvard of the world, with a doctorate degree. I am running to give back to a country and to the people that give me so much. I can't say thank you enough. You have been kind and you have been gracious, and I want to give back to a nation and to a people who have given me so much. And I begin to think, how do I give back? How do I say thank you? I look at other options, but primarily, local government has three major functions. One is to represent the people, to serve the people, to protect the people. I've heard everybody talking about the issues. The people, isn't it? To serve the people, to work for the people, and to protect the people. Number two, to make laws. Number three, to have oversight. And I think I can serve the people. I can be the voice of the people. I will go to work on day one, fighting for you, working for you, because I've been there. I'm passionate about education. You see, because education is the key to success. It is only through education a man born in a village on a dirt floor can rise to this level and enjoy the American dream. I'm a college faculty. I understand what it means to have an overcrowded classroom. We have 12 great schools in Mount Pleasant. We have some of the best infrastructure, isn't it? But if we have overcrowded classroom, we have management problem. The instructor cannot manage the class. And if we have management problem, we have instructional problem. And if we have instructional problem, we have a denigrated schools. And so I understand, and I'm going to go to the bottom for the school. I work with the parents in the school district, with council to build a new high school, to do everything possible for our young people. God bless you, my friends. God bless this great nation, the United States of America. God bless this fabulous and amazing city, Mount Pleasant. Thank you so kindly. Please vote for me. My information is out there.
Mr. Craig, I'll let you come up and microphone or not? Yeah, really.
I want to bring town council down to your level. I think that it is time that we all get involved and take a role in our municipal government, open up government, get more people involved, and I think we can do that today with social media. These are things that we didn't have when I served on council the first time. Back in 1981 to 83, I served with the famous Johnny Dodge. I sat alongside Billy Swales, our current mayor. I served with Jimmy Bagwell, who ought to be running for mayor. There are a lot of you here in the audience that I've known for a long time. I knew Sally when she was in high school. It was a long time ago. I went to the Citadel. I finished in '69. I was there when Ricky Crosby was there, who was running for the Water Commission. I was there when Mac, who's on the commission, was there. I know Paul was there, but he's just a young fellow. He's behind me at the Citadel. And Elton Carrier finished the year I got there. The Citadel is important to town, and it does teach you the leadership role that we all need to run our municipal government. I raised 4 children here, and I started my business here. in Mount Pleasant. I've been asked, as Gary said, or one of them earlier, why do we want to run? It's not for me, it's for the young children, is why we want to run. These kids that are here tonight, they're going to take a role in living here after we're gone. We're doing it for them. I'm doing it for my grandchildren, for my children. So that's why I'm running. I wanted to ask, if you're not presently a candidate, raise your hand if you want to run for town council or if you want to run for mayor. Come on, be true. How many of you want to do that? There's one. Well, the winner, there, oh yeah. See, there's a future leader right there. I'm glad you're here learning, son. All of these candidates are great candidates. You cannot go wrong by picking any of them. So who's the winner? Mount Pleasant's the winner. We're going to win because all of them have dedicated their time and effort to help this community when so many of you won't get out and run. So what we're going to ask you to do, and I need to come up here and see my time thing. Am I doing all right? I'm not going to tell you about my background because it's all over Facebook. I have my cards here, my palm cards. Go on my website, it'll tell you all about me. You can always tell what a man is going to do by what he has already done. I served on council. I was president of the Charleston Civil Club. I was president of the local board of realtors, Metropolitan Exchange Club. I've been the president of the South Carolina Saltwater Sports Fishing Association. I've been serving all of my life, and I'm willing to serve and do a job for you today. Mr. Page, how are you, sir? Good to see you again. You didn't go to the restaurant tonight, huh? All right. Look up the candidates, research them on the Facebook, pick the candidate that you want. We're all here, and we'll be here later. Thank you for being here tonight. We like to see people get involved. As George said earlier, as George said, it's always nice to see a crowd.
Thank you.
Good evening. Glad to see y'all all here tonight. It is very nice to see a crowd, especially we like to see more folks out there in the crowd than we see candidates. Sometimes that happens a lot, doesn't it? My name is Paul Garch, and I am seeking one of 4 available seats on town council. So you have a choice of 4. I greatly appreciate that I'm one of them. I am blessed to have grown up here in Mount Pleasant, and I'm going to get in trouble right away. She doesn't ever come. She's here tonight. My beautiful wife of 25 years, Zoe Garch, a school teacher with Charles County School District, who has a wonderful title now as an interventionist. She's a master reader. And there are a lot of needs for that. But you know what? She's at Pinckney Elementary where there's 1,250 kids, and her classroom is a closet. That school still is excellent, excellent. I've had the opportunity to give 12 years of service to the town of Mount Pleasant, not 12 in a row. I started out in '95 at the young age of 32. So you're doing good, Mr. Wren. You're doing good to fit into the mold there. Taking a couple breaks. I've had the wonderful, incredible opportunity to serve with 3 separate mayors, Cheryl Woods Flowers, the late Harry Holm, and of course Billy Swales now. All 3 wonderful mayors, all 3 that loved their town, all 3 had separate ways they did their business, but they definitely had this town at home. My last 2 years, 2009 to 11, I was the mayor pro tem. And I decided to let it go. And just like the romance novel, I didn't want to let it go and see if it came back, and it came back, and that fire is burning. So I'm here because we know one thing. We're going to have a brand new mayor. And hopefully we'll have some new council members, and I strongly believe and a cycle of having new people. I encourage people all the time to get involved in this wonderful community. So I believe that my steady, level-headed leadership will provide a wonderful opportunity to help the new mayor and help those new council members for us to continue on. So what does that mean to continue on? I want to jump right in to what those issues are. 2004, I went to Harry Holman and asked him, I said, Mayor, the school district, they're not doing enough for us over here in Mount Pleasant. First response from him, awesome. Son, we're not on the school board. Of course, I said, thank God we're not. Elizabeth Motley, glad to have you here tonight, the school board member. I said, Harry, you're right, but I want to form a committee, no elected officials, citizens and business leaders. We will call it Blue Ribbon Committee on Education. And they came to work, and one of our co-chairs is here tonight, Rebecca Einholz. Rebecca, thank you so much. You and Kate Darby co-chaired that group of about 28 people for a year and a half. The results, $175 million worth of construction for schools. The one you're standing in now. The one down the street, the brand new one at Whitesides, the Academy, the expansion at Carrier, the new construction happening at Jenny Moore and at Lane, and of course the new school being built at Wanda. However, we had a little glitch there with our school district. And I'm not trying to beat them over the head too hard, but they missed it by a mile by building the schools, by agreeing to build a school on Sullivan's Island for 500 students. The need is not there, the need is in Mount Pleasant. One of the first things I will do if I'm successful on November 5th is reinstitute our Blue Ribbon Committee on Education, a small version, because we're going to get a second high school on property that already exists. We're going to get a new elementary school at Calhoun Park on property that already exists. And our school district right now wants to extend the bond. We can help them over here in Mount Pleasant extend that bond if the language says a new high school and a new elementary school. My time's dwindling. I will tell you also that I'm very proud of Shem Creek Park. Pay attention to the second phase. It is incredible what's happening there. We've got a lot of great things happening in this town. 4 seats available November 5th. I ask you, Paul S. Garch, for one of your choices. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Elton Carrier, and I'm smiling. I made the comment this afternoon. My wife always says when I go to one of these things, please smile. You always look like you're a finance guy. Anyway, I am Elton Carrier. I'm a 40-year resident of Mount Pleasant. I'm a graduate of the Citadel. Between Mr. Wren and Mr. Geith, everybody now knows my age. I'm a resting elder at Mount Pleasant Presbyterian Church. I'm married to Kathy for 48 years. We have 2 kids and 3 grands, and we all live in Mount Pleasant. So that should tell you something about what we feel about this community. I am a sitting councilman. I chair the all-important Finance Committee. When we were elected in '09, if you'll remember, there were 19 of us running for council, and for 4 seats. And I was the 3rd largest vote-getter, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. But it was really a kind of an awakening for me, because I wasn't going to serve while I was working. I was a banker for 35 years in Charleston, in Mount Pleasant, and I said I'm not going to take on this job because I want to give it the full time that it deserves. And believe me, folks, it requires time. I spend about 30 hours a week on this job. And I have the advantage of being retired. So I go to all the committees, I go to all the meetings, I'm there. Everybody knows, the mayor calls on me to sub for him in certain things. I sit on 4 other council committees, and I also represent the town on the Accommodations Tax Committee, as well as the Board of Governors at the CACBD, which is your Visitors Bureau downtown. So I'm pretty busy, but I do enjoy it. Other than in those duties, I'm a pretty boring guy, because I'm the finance guy. I'm the guy that has to say, no, you can't do that. We don't have the money. But let me tell you, folks, you live in the most prosperous town, municipality-wise, there is in this state. We increased our reserves from 15 million to 21 million in the last 2 years. That is unheard of in the state, in the cities and towns of South Carolina. We have reserves for emergencies. We have the best staff and department heads you've ever seen in this town. It's just phenomenal. I was a banker for 35 years, looked at a lot of company statements. This town is run better than most companies. And that's a real tribute to the department heads, and some of them are here tonight, some of the employees are here tonight. But this town runs like a well-oiled machine. We cut away 74 employees 2 years ago because looking ahead to the downturn in the economy. And by goodness, we haven't added them back because everybody said, you know, we looked at everybody, the department heads, they said, we're just doing fine. Everybody's working a little bit harder. We were able to pay some bonuses. We were able to raise some salaries. I mean, it really made it nice for the employees. We've done so much austerity in this town in the last 4 years that you just should be very proud of what we've done. My goals, if re-elected, is one thing mainly, and that's infrastructure repair and maintenance. We have been living the good life here. We have great streets, we have great systems going around, but those are getting aged. We had a consultant come in 2 years ago, Santos, and they told us that our aged infrastructure is going to require $14 million a year for 20 years in a row to get it back, to get it repaired. I mean, some of you may live in Dunes West, some of you may live in Hidden Cove. We've got streets falling apart, and I'm done.
Alphabetic, I'm always first, so I don't enjoy tonight being last. Which I get to go a little extra longer, right? Now that everyone's comfortable. Good evening. Thanks for the great turnout tonight. I remember a couple of years ago at the same forum. Thanks to the Moultrie News and Legal and the Voters, and also a great turnout. It's been a lot of good energy in this race. Got to know these candidates real well. They're all great people. Say hey to Joe Bowers, who's the candidate for mayor of Allentown right there. Current Councilman Chris Nichols and Thomasine Stokes Marshall are here tonight as well. I want to get down right to it. I have not been in Mount Pleasant 50 years. I'm only 35 years old, so that would be impossible. Just kidding. I finished Furman in 1987 and came to Mount Pleasant and have worked in real estate ever since. 2001, graduated from Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce's Leadership Charleston program. I've never held office. I'm not an incumbent. I'd be very honored and humbled to continue and expand my current civic service to the town of Mount Pleasant, and hope you'll vote for me for town council November the 5th. My future service on town council will mirror my current civic service, where I've been currently on the Mount Pleasant Board of Zoning Appeals, Board of Assessment Appeals, Low Country Housing Trust, and the Mount Pleasant Workforce Housing Advisory Committee, as well as on the board of Creative Spark Center for the Arts here in Mount Pleasant. I will always fight to strive and to continue the efforts to enhance our quality of life so future generations can continue enjoying the same beauty, charm, and character our town currently possesses. From raising children, I have two, have a freshman at Wando, and our Mount Pleasant sponsoring and coaching recreational teams. I have a clear understanding and appreciation of how great the town of Mount Pleasant is. When I'm on council, I'll work to continue to make the town even better for us, our children, and future generations. To do this, we must solve the biggest issues related to infrastructure. As town councilman, I will vote to advocate for the ordering of infrastructure projects according to the potential business and economic development projects that offer and the improvements to the residents' quality of life that they offer. We talked about education a lot. It's in the forefront. We don't have authority over the school board. We can be advocates. As parents, we're going to have to be. We've got to ensure that our children provide the necessary resources and facilities for education. As a town councilman, absolutely, I will work, hopefully with a unified new council and new mayor, to ensure that we have resources necessary for the new schools that have to be funded. We've got to stay up at the school board, get the second high school, Jenny Moore, Lane Middle, and second high school, the old Wando campus. And the last couple of months, a lot of people ask why I'm running. For me, it's real simple. I honestly have no desire for our office, not mayor, not any countywide office, not statewide. I have attended over 80% of the town hall meetings in the last 4 years, as well as about 60% of the committee meetings. I want to serve on town council. That's where my interests lie, absolutely. I'm proud to be endorsed by current town councilman Chris Nichols, Chris O'Neill, Dr. Craig Ryan. I see Ted Summers here to have the support. Red in 2009, and also Phil Shepard. But most importantly, those endorsements are important. They're very good community activists. They serve the town. But the most important endorsement that I want and I'm asking for tonight is the residents and voters of the town of Mount Pleasant. So Ben Bryson, November 5th, Town Council. Thank you.
Well, that was a wonderful group of people. So let's give them all a big warm round of applause. I think it was said by some of the candidates, but I think to live in a town where people show up to hear what's going on, people show up to vote, and people show up to run, which is just as important. It really is a wonderful blessing. Thank you. And now we're going to bring up the Waterworks candidates. Speaking of water, I would like to thank Costco for the provision of water tonight, which was very generous of them. Ms. Elise Campaign, Commissioner Rick Crosby, and Mr. Dolph Rodenberg. You'll each have 4 minutes. We have our timer right here with Joan. She'll keep you on task. And we will, again, keep the things moving and start in the opposite direction to keep things a little up in the air. We'll start with Mr. Rodenberg. Come on up.
Good evening there, Mount Pleasant. It's good to be here. It's really nice to see such a big turnout that we got here. Louder. Pardon me. That's better.
Increase the pressure.
I'm Dolph Rodenberg. That's okay. We're good. I'll speak closer to it. I am Dolph Rodenberg, and I'm delighted to be here with you folks tonight. I did grow up here in Mount Pleasant, as Paul Garch and Mary and some of the other folks that are running. I grew up actually in Hobcaw, and I graduated high school from here. I was the last class and graduated from the Citadel, and went to work. Actually, right at the Citadel, I married Robin, my wife, of 36 years. We dated through high school and got married. We got 2 beautiful kids and 5 wonderful, wonderful grandchildren. We live in Point Pleasant, right off of Memphis Ferry Road. We've been there for 28 years. And from a career standpoint, just it's pertinent to the Water Commission. Mount Pleasant Water Works is a business. They sell water and they take care of sewer. And what I'm going to tell you is pertinent to making all that happen. I worked for Davidson Floyd Engineering for close to 12 years, and their two biggest clients were Berkeley County Water Sewer Commission and the North Carolina Sewer District, North Charleston Sewer District, and they did an awful lot of work for CPW as well. So I had an awful lot of exposure to the engineering aspect of water and wastewater treatment and that kind of thing. So I've got a lot of history, a lot of experience in that. During that interim time during that period, I actually ran for town council, and I think they had a forum in here, if I'm not mistaken. That was 92 to 96, I was on town council, where I was the chairman of the finance committee and learned an absolutely amazing amount of information on how a municipality is run and all the departments and budgets and everything like that. It's just, I don't remember which candidate said it's a well-oiled machine. It is a well-oiled machine. But while I was on town council, after learning all the departments and that, I was also the liaison for the waterworks during this period of time. So I learned how the municipality, how Mount Pleasant worked with the Water Commission and how they interact and what the goals are, and enjoyed doing both of that. So with that said, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to further work for the commission, and actually my business management, the exposure I've had to waterworks and the town of Mount Pleasant, the finances, I'm committed to making sure things are moved along in the same fashion that we're accustomed to. I know I've had many conversations with Rick on the status of Mount Pleasant water and the rates and whatnot. And in the research that I've done, everything is in good shape as far as you can see. There are issues. There's certainly issues in every business. And part of being on the Water Commission is not to run Mount Pleasant Waterworks. It's to provide oversight to the professional staff that we've got that does exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and to make recommendations and to do exactly what you, the folks, me, people in town expect to have done. I do appreciate your time tonight. I appreciate your vote on 5th, Golf Rosenberg, Mount Pleasant Waterworks. Thanks so much.
Now, Mr. Crosby.
I want to thank the Moultrie News and the League for having us here tonight. My name is Rick Crosby, and I have had the absolute awesome pleasure of representing you for the past 15 years on the Mount Pleasant Water Commission. I am currently the Vice Chairman of the Commission, and other than that, I'm not going to tell you anything else about myself. I have some palm cards around, and you can read about me if they passed them out. But what I want to talk about tonight is water. We talk about the issues with the town, but we're missing the boat, because the most essential element of what we have in this town is water. This is the interactive part of the night. How many of you this morning took a shower? How many this morning brushed your teeth? And how many used your toilet? You didn't have to answer that. I want you to know that when you did those three things, we delivered water to your home. We also picked it up and disposed of it when you finished with it, when it was dirty. And also, when you were ready to use it again, it was there 24/7. And I don't recall Clay getting any calls today about somebody not having service. And that is the kind of water department, water sewer authority that we have in Mount Pleasant. It is world class. I've had the awesome privilege of serving you guys nationally at conferences all over the country.
Clay and I had the distinct opportunity of sitting on an international conference back in August, back in Arizona. We sat with people from Detroit. You sit around the table from people in Maui, from Australia, all over the world. And we've all got the same issues with respect to water. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you. First and foremost, we have an aging infrastructure. It's about a $300 million capital improvement plan for us for the next 10 years. Nationally, it's about $400 trillion. We're spending $26.5 million to upfit Rifle Range Road. We're spending $5.5 to $6 million bucks in the old village with the water lines. 8 to 9 years down the line, we've got to do the same upfit on Rifle Range Road. Our challenge is, where is that money coming from? The second issue that we have, declining rates. We've done a wonderful job educating you about conserving water. We've also had a lot of rain. How does that impact us? It's just like this. It's volatile. But let me tell you one thing. We have never, in my 15 years on the commission, failed to balance a budget. Never. I'll also say that we've got an aging workforce. Clay Duffy was 37 years old when we hired him. He's 67 today. I'm sorry, 62. But the industry has got that problem as well. We've got intellectual capital that is older. We need to replace with our bench strength. Economic development, I've had the great privilege of serving with the town's economic development. I'm the oldest member, longest lasting member on that committee. We work with the town. We've improved fire flow to the commercial areas. We've improved Rifle Range Road to accommodate for Patriots Point, and we've also got the new pipes for the Coleman Boulevard revitalization. When you go to vote November 5th, please vote for the only incumbent who's been there for 15 years and wants to serve with passion. My dear friends call me Water Boy. Thank you very much.
Substantive experience, I am dedicated, and I bring a fresh, energetic perspective to this position. As I've made my way around town, a lot of people say to me, why Waterworks Commission? Or sometimes they even say, what is that? And here is my answer. It is that I care a lot about infrastructure. It's something that is hidden from view. We don't tend to think about it until there's a problem. And when there is a problem, we realize how vital it is to our health, to our economy, and our quality of life. For me, that problem came when I was very young. I lived in a rural community in a small town where a leaking landfill contaminated our water supplies. I got sick, and so I learned not to take clean water for granted. That experience inspired me to go on and get a master's degree in urban planning, and I've worked for over 2 decades in public policy in a variety of roles. I now have a consulting firm here in town, and we work on issues such as aging workforce, water quality and supply, fluoridation, things that are very resonant with the agenda of Mount Pleasant Waterworks. So what would I focus on? I have 4 themes. The first is affordability. It's very expensive, as we've heard, to pay for an aging water system at the same time that we accommodate growth and put in new lines. It does not come cheap, and communities around the nation are facing the same problem. But that doesn't help us as ratepayers when we get our bills, because we can't choose not to have water services. So when rates go up, it really hurts. I will work hard to avoid excessive rate increases and find other ways to keep the bills affordable. The second issue is solutions. I want to put my experience to task so that we can find what other communities are doing, learn from their mistakes, put their good ideas to work. We need to be creative when facing the challenges that we have before us. The next is transparency.
There are several revenue sources that pay for the waterworks system. There are basic rate charges, usage charges, special assessments, impact fees from developers. Frankly, it is confusing. And I will work hard to bring transparency to the process so it's clear what you're paying for and what the true cost of the quality services that you're getting cost. The next is public education. And I think we can do a lot to teach the public or let the public know how they can help safeguard their own health and protect the environment. For example, prescription drugs are turning up in water supplies, and we can help people understand how to better dispose of them so that they can keep our water supply safe. We can also let people know why it is so expensive to deliver good water services. In terms of my personal background, I've been here for over 7 years. I live on Shum Creek with my husband and 2 children who are here tonight, and I consider this my home. I've been very active in the community as a guardian ad litem, protecting abused and neglected kids, and serving on various boards. I'm very active in the public schools. I believe passionately about the importance of public service, and so I'm one of the new faces of Mount Pleasant. And while I think it is very important to respect the historic continuity of a place, I also think that it's time to welcome new ideas and innovation to face what we have before us in the future. I'm ready to bring those talents to bear in this office. I hope you will consider voting for me on November 5th. Thank you.
Last but not least, Mr. Carrier. Burn.
No, we're not burning. Yes, ma'am. Right? Can you hear me, folks?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I am John Byrne. I grew up about 5 blocks from here where my mother lives today. When I was a child, my godfather, Grogy Dogger, was the mayor. My aunt, Clara, was the clerk of court. Town Hall was right down the road here. There were 57,000 residents in the town. Now we're about 73,000 strong. We are the 4th largest municipality in the state. Things have changed just a little since then. For the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of serving on town council. During these 4 years, I've chaired the Water Supply Committee, which provided me the opportunity to serve as an ex officio commissioner for the Water Commission. On council, I also chaired the Public Services Committee and the Recreation Committee. I also serve on the Planning and Transportation Committees. I have learned a lot and enjoyed all of my jobs in the town. Over the past 4 years, I have found my interest in our environment and our water resources have grown, and with that, my interest in waterworks. The Commission has done a great job in protecting our environment and our resources. We've reduced our use on the Middendorf Aquifer. We've increased our use of surface water from the Goose Creek Reservoir, which is a cheaper source and more abundant source of water. We have, in recent years, the Middendorf Aquifer has actually risen because of our reduction in that. I am committed to protecting our environment and our resources. I want to tell you a quick sewer story. When I was a child, there was a sewer pipe in the 60s that emptied in Ferry Street. I was 2 blocks from my parents' house on King. As a rite of passage in the summer, we had to go to Dr. Darby and be inoculated before we could swim every summer because of the raw sewage that dumped into the harbor. And I tell you this because last year, sometime around February, we had, Waterworks had a 30-inch force main break on Rifle Range Road. I wound up in a boat, in a pond at Seaside Farms during that cleanup process. It was a very, very ugly situation. The sewage was on the surface of the pond and actually took booms and corralled the raw sewage and pulled it to shore, and then the vac trucks would come and suck the sewage up. And in day 2 of this cleanup process, I ended up going to Dr. Durst and being inoculated. I hope that's the last time I'm inoculated. And I tell you this because the working conditions of that spill, and watching the waterworks employees, the professionalism, the dedication of those guys working in the absolute worst conditions possible was absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing the quality of the work and just their dedication. I wanted to share that with you. For the past 4 years, I've been honored to serve on both council and the Water Commission. My son Webb is now a freshman at Wanda. Knowing or hoping that he will be heading to college in 4 years, I'd like to slow down a little, spend more time with my family and my business. My move to the Water Commission will allow me to stay engaged in the workings of the town I so love and accomplish that goal. I feel confident my experience and passion for our community, a safe and clean environment, will be a great candidate for the Water Commission. I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th. Please pick up a flyer at the back table. Look at my other goals and objectives. My cell is on there. Call me anytime for more information. Thank you so much. I am John Murray.
Thanks again to all the candidates for Waterworks Commission, and let's give them a warm round. One more time, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here this evening and hear from the Mount Pleasant candidates. We invite you this time to speak individually with candidates over at their tables, grab their information as they've encouraged you to do. We encourage you to study the issues carefully, learn about the positions in each candidate, and vote for the candidate of your choice on November 5th. A special section will be printed in the Moultrie News detailing each candidate and their platform. It will also be available online at www.moultrienews.com. You will find candidate information and useful voting information there. This section publishes October 30th. Also, visit the Moultrie News website at www.moultrienews.com to view their political pages. And congratulations to the Moultrie News on turning 50 in 2014. The League's website is www.lwbcharleston.org. We have nonpartisan election information and links to the Moultrie News, as well as the South Carolina Election Commission. Be certain you have your say by casting your ballot. Tell your friends about your attendance here and what you've learned. Without your vote, your voice will not be heard. Have a great evening and stay drive.